A simple pregnant woman was kicked out by the hospital CEO, but then her billionaire husband changed the entire hospital. It was a rainy Thursday morning when Maya walked into Roswell Private Hospital. Dressed in a faded floral dress and holding her slightly rounded belly, she looked nothing like the hospital's usual clientele. Power suits, designer heels, polished nails. Maya's sandals were worn thin, her hair pulled back in a loose bun, and her expression was tired but hopeful. She approached the front desk, her voice soft. "Excuse me, I have an appointment. I'm 6 months along and the doctor asked me to come in today." The receptionist barely looked up. With a side glance and a forced smile, she asked for her name, then tapped on her keyboard with exaggerated slowness. A moment later, hushed whispers floated in from behind. 2 nurses passed by and giggled, casting judgmental glances. "She must be lost," one murmured. "Looks like she belongs in a free clinic." Maya tried to ignore them. She shifted her weight, one hand on her belly, the other clutching a wrinkled paper with her appointment time. But the tension was thick, and the receptionist's tone turned colder. "I'm sorry," she said, suddenly louder. "We don't take walk-ins without prior clearance, especially not today. We're very busy." "I have an appointment," Maya replied, her voice cracking. At that moment, a tall, sharp-dressed man stepped out from a nearby office. He was the hospital's CEO, Mr. Clark, known for his strict policies and sharper opinions. His eyes scanned Maya from head to toe with visible disdain. "We can't have just anyone wandering into our facility," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "This isn't a charity ward. Kindly see yourself out, ma'am." The entire lobby went silent. And just like that, a pregnant woman, carrying life inside her, was humiliated and kicked out, as if she didn't matter at all. Maya stood frozen for a moment, her hand tightening over the paper in her palm as Mr. Clark's words echoed in her ears. The receptionist leaned in slightly, smirking now that she had backup. "You heard the CEO," she said smugly, tapping her pen against the desk. "This place isn't really for walk-ins off the street. You probably misunderstood. The free clinic is just 5 blocks down." A small group of nurses nearby chuckled softly. One of them whispered, not quite quietly enough, "Maybe she's here to beg for help. I mean, look at her. No ring, no proper coat, pregnant and alone. Classic." Maya's cheeks flushed, a mix of embarrassment and rising anger bubbling beneath the surface. She took a deep breath, refusing to crumble. "I have a confirmation from Dr. Nguyen. She told me to come today. I've been feeling dizzy and my blood pressure has been high." But Mr. Clark cut her off with a dismissive wave of his hand. "Doctors make mistakes when they don't screen patients properly. It won't happen again. You're clearly not someone we cater to. If you need emergency care, I suggest you go where you're better suited." He glanced toward security, making his silent command clear. Maya's lips quivered, but she didn't argue. Instead, she slowly folded the appointment note, tucked it into her bag, and turned to leave. But just as she reached for the door, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She answered it in a low tone. "Yes, I'm at the hospital, but they won't let me in." The security guard, who had begun moving toward her, paused. Something about the way she spoke was different. Calm, almost too calm for someone who had just been publicly humiliated. She ended the call quickly and tucked the phone away. No outburst, no tears, just a deep breath. Mr. Clark, still nearby, scoffed. "Playing the sympathy card now? It won't work here. We have protocols." But for a brief second, Maya smiled to herself, a small, knowing smile. One of the younger nurses caught it, and for the first time, she hesitated. There was something strange about the woman's poise. Her dignity didn't match her dress. Her calm didn't fit her situation. And as Maya walked out into the rain, no one realized the ripple effect that phone call was about to create. Rain fell in soft sheets as Maya stepped outside the hospital, the glass doors closing behind her like the final chapter of a bad memory. She stood under the small awning, clutching her bag and rubbing her belly in slow circles. The ache in her lower back had worsened, but she held herself upright, chin high. Her phone buzzed again. This time she didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked at the screen, her expression unreadable, then calmly typed a few words and hit send. Back inside, Mr. Clark returned to his office, muttering under his breath about entitled nobodies and wasting hospital resources. The receptionist resumed scrolling on her phone, ignoring the growing whispers among nearby patients who had witnessed the scene. Minutes passed, then it started. A low hum in the distance. It wasn't thunder, it was the sound of a car, deep, purring, unmistakably expensive. The hospital entrance lights reflected off a sleek black Rolls-Royce Phantom, its chrome details gleaming despite the gray sky. It pulled up to the curb in one smooth motion, stopping directly in front of Maya. The valet on duty, who hadn't even noticed her when she arrived, suddenly jumped into action, fumbling with his umbrella, eyes wide. The hospital rarely received such visitors, especially not without warning. The back door of the Rolls-Royce opened. Out stepped a man in a tailored charcoal suit, his presence commanding the instant he appeared. He moved like someone used to being watched, calm, deliberate, confident. His shoes splashed gently in the puddle as he crossed to Maya, not caring about the rain. "Honey," he said warmly, wrapping his arm around her shoulders, "I'm so sorry I'm late. Are you all right?" Maya leaned into him, her calm cracking just slightly. "They didn't let me in. They said I didn't belong here." His face darkened, not with anger, but with a quiet, focused intensity that made the valet take a step back. Without saying another word, he looked up toward the glass doors, and as if on cue, they slid open again. Mr. Clark stood there, confusion slowly twisting into recognition. His eyes flicked from the man's car, to his expensive suit, to his hand on Maya's back, and then the color drained from his face. Mr. Al-Rahman," he stuttered. Several nurses nearby froze mid-step. The receptionist nearly dropped her pen. Everyone at Roswell Private Hospital knew the name Imran Al-Rahman, the elusive billionaire investor who had quietly acquired stakes in several elite medical institutions across the country. No one had ever met him in person, until now. The man gave Mr. Clark a long, cold stare. "Yes," he replied evenly, "and this is my wife." The words hit the room like a thunderclap. The receptionist's jaw dropped. The younger nurse gasped audibly. Even patients waiting in the lobby craned their necks to see what was unfolding. Mr. Clark scrambled forward, trying to recover. There must have been a misunderstanding. We didn't know. She didn't mention." "She shouldn't have had to," Imran cut in sharply. "You humiliated a pregnant woman, my wife, in front of strangers. You made assumptions based on her appearance. Do you treat all your patients this way?" No, of course not. I deeply apologize." Imran raised a hand. "Save it. I'll deal with this properly." He turned to Maya, brushing a wet strand of hair from her forehead. "Come. You're not setting foot in this place until it's ours." Maya nodded gently, and they both walked toward the car. As he opened the door for her, she glanced back at the glass windows, locking eyes with the receptionist. That small, knowing smile returned. The Rolls-Royce door closed with a soft click, and as the car pulled away, all that remained was the stunned silence of those who had judged too quickly and were about to pay the price. Back at the hospital, the tension was thick enough to cut with a scalpel. The receptionist shifted uncomfortably in her chair, pretending to type. The nurses stood awkwardly in the hallway, whispering in panicked confusion, and Mr. Clark paced near the entrance, tugging at his collar every few seconds, glancing nervously outside like a man waiting for judgment. Then, the sound returned, like thunder wrapped in luxury. The Rolls-Royce rolled back into the hospital driveway, this time slower, more deliberate, as if announcing that what was about to happen would not be rushed. The valet didn't move a muscle. He just stared. The door opened. Imran Al-Rahman stepped out. Tailored in a perfectly pressed Italian suit, not a hair out of place, he exuded a calm dominance that made the entire front entrance feel like a courtroom. A subtle but distinct watch gleamed under his cuff, a limited edition timepiece more expensive than most people's houses, yet none of that compared to the fire in his eyes. He walked around to the other side, gently opened the door, and offered his hand to Maya. She stepped out slowly, supported by his arm. She wore the same faded dress, but somehow it no longer made her look out of place. In that moment, she looked like exactly who she was, the woman who owned the room without saying a word. Imran placed a firm hand on the small of her back and leaned in close. "Is everything okay, darling?" he asked softly, his voice protective, calm, dangerous. Maya didn't need to say much. Just a simple, "They treated me like dirt," was enough. His eyes narrowed. He turned his full attention to Mr. Clark, who stood frozen like a schoolboy caught cheating in front of the headmaster. "You," Imran said sharply, "humiliated my wife while she was pregnant, while she was under your supposed care, in front of your staff, in front of strangers." Mr. Clark's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "Mr. Al-Rahman, I didn't know." She didn't identify herself. Imran took a step forward, towering now. She didn't need to. She had an appointment. She followed protocol, and instead of care, she was given contempt. The receptionist jumped in, stammering, "We were just following normal procedures." "Normal?" Imran turned sharply toward her. "Is it normal to snicker at a pregnant woman? To tell her she doesn't belong? Is it your hospital's policy to judge people by their shoes?" The young nurse who had earlier laughed took a slow step back, her face drained of color. Maya, standing beside him, finally raised her voice. Not angry, not vengeful, just calm. "I came here worried about my baby. I left worried about how many others like me might be turned away." Her words hit harder than any accusation. Imran looked back at Mr. Clark. "Here's what's going to happen," he said coldly. "As of this moment, I'm acquiring full controlling interest in Roswell Private Hospital. I already held 40%. I've just completed the rest. Your board was very open to the offer." The silence was deafening. "You're done, Clark," he continued. "You and your small-minded gatekeepers. This hospital is supposed to heal, not judge. From this day forward, things will change, starting with the leadership." I... Clark stuttered, but the words failed him. Imran didn't wait for a reply. He turned to Maya again, this time softening. "Come on, love. Let's take you somewhere that sees you as the queen you are." And for the first time that day, Maya let herself smile. Not the knowing smile, not the quiet one, but a full, bright, powerful smile. They turned and walked back toward the car. Imran opened the door for her once more, helping her inside with the tenderness of a man who knew what she'd been through and was never going to let it happen again. As the Rolls-Royce pulled away, the crowd outside remained motionless. The staff, the CEO, the patients, all left in the wake of a storm they never saw coming. And from that day on, Roswell Hospital had new management and a new heart. Inside the hospital, the atmosphere was suffocating. The staff stood still, like statues carved from shame. No one spoke. No one dared move. Imran stepped forward, slowly, deliberately. Not with rage, but with a cold, surgical calm that somehow made it worse. He looked at Mr. Clark one final time. "Call your board," he said. "Let them know you're stepping down, immediately." Clark's voice cracked. "Please, Mr. Al-Rahman, I've worked here for 18 years. This hospital is my life." Imran's expression didn't flinch. "And yet you showed my wife less compassion in 5 minutes than a stranger on the street would." The receptionist stepped forward, hands trembling. "Sir, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to." Imran cut in, still calm. "You meant to. You thought she was beneath you. You judged her before you even spoke to her." "I didn't know she was..." "She's my wife," he said, his voice lowering, "but more importantly, she's a human being, and that should have been enough." The nurse who had laughed earlier now looked like she was about to cry. "We didn't know. We just assumed..." Maya looked at her directly now. That's the problem. You assumed. Do you only show respect to people who wear designer labels? Silence. A long, heavy silence. Imran turned to Maya. We're leaving. There are better hospitals with better hearts. As they walked toward the exit, Mr. Clark spoke up once more, almost desperately. Please give me a chance to make this right. Imran turned around slowly, his voice like ice. Your chance was when she walked through that door the first time. You didn't just turn away a patient. You turned away your purpose. He paused. Then, for everyone to hear, he said, never judge someone by their appearance. You never know who you're really speaking to, or who's watching. With that, he placed his hand gently on Maya's back and led her through the glass doors. As the Rolls-Royce pulled away for the final time, the hospital behind them seemed smaller, quieter, emptier. And inside, those who had once laughed now stood with red faces and hollow hearts, left to wonder how many others they'd dismissed without ever truly seeing. In a world obsessed with appearances, where worth is measured by logos, luxury, and labels, we forget what truly defines a person. Maya didn't walk into that hospital asking for special treatment. She came with hope, with trust, hoping to be seen, heard, cared for, but instead she was judged, not for who she was, but for who they assumed she wasn't, and how many others like her have been turned away. Quiet hearts, honest souls, good people in simple clothes. The truth is, kindness costs nothing, but means everything, because status can change overnight, but the way you make someone feel, that leaves a mark forever. So next time you see someone who doesn't look the part, ask yourself, what if they were someone important? What if they were someone's whole world? Or better yet, what if they were simply human? Treat every soul with dignity, because sometimes the most powerful people walk in with the quietest steps.